Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are preparing for UGC NET English, there is one name you have definitely come across again and again, and that is Gayatri Chakravarty Spivak. If you are new to this channel, then please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that as soon as I upload a new video, you are the first one to know about it. We come up with new videos every week touching upon most important topics that are repeatedly asked in UGC NET English exam. In today's video, we are going to explore all the key works and ideas of Gayatri Chakravarty Spivak in simple words, and we're doing it all from a UGC NET point of view. So let's get started. Friends, if you are looking for more PYQs on this topic, you can refer to the Unit 10 questions in my UGC NET Paper 1 book that provides you with 6500 plus solved unit-wise questions with detailed solutions and hints. But hey, what if you are looking for online mock tests that can help you practice questions in online exam format? If that's what you are looking for, you can join our newly updated online mock test series with a wide range of full-length tests available on the Arpita Karwa learning app. These tests perfectly replicate the UGC NET exam interface, providing you with a real-life exam experience. Plus, after each test, you'll receive a detailed performance report and see where you stand in the All India leaderboard. Let us begin by learning who Gayatri Chakravarty Spivak is. Spivak, born in 1942, is an Indian scholar, literary theorist, and philosopher, known for her influential work which blends feminism, Marxism, postcolonial studies, and deconstruction. She has a doctorate from Cornell University and has taught at prestigious institutions worldwide. Her interdisciplinary approach and global perspective have made her a pivotal figure in modern critical theory and cultural studies. Spivak became internationally known when she translated Jacques Derrida's 1967 book of grammatology into English from French back in the year 1976. It was pivotal in introducing the ideas of deconstruction to the English-speaking academic world. Spivak has also translated several of Mahashweta Devi's works into English from Bengali. These include the short story collections Imaginary Maps, Breast Stories, Old Woman, as well as the novel Choti Munda and His Arrow. She also translated Aimé Césaire's play A Season in the Congo from French to English, making an important contribution to post-colonial theatre and literature. So, in many ways, Spivak is not just a theorist. She is also a translator, a critic, an activist, and a powerful voice for the marginalized across the globe. Let's now dive deeper into her works and explore her key ideas. Friends, did you know that the UGC NET has now been asking questions on new and trendy topics and theories like Donna Haraway's idea of the cyborg and Sara Ahmed's affect theory? In order to ace the UGC NET exam, you need to be familiar with around 1,200 important writers and terms. In this video, we've covered some of them, but there's so much more to explore. That's why we have compiled a newly updated complete list of topics that are repeatedly asked in UGC NET English exam, available absolutely free on our website. You can download the list and start preparing for UGC NET at your own pace today. So, don't miss out. Click on the website link given in description box to download the detailed topic list and confidently prepare for the upcoming UGC NET exam. Let's now talk about a landmark essay by Spivak called Three Women's Texts and a Critique of Imperialism. This was written in the year 1985. In this essay, she examines three novels, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and White Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. Spivak's main argument here is that even British women's literature was not free from the influence of imperialism. She gives the example of Bertha Mason, the so-called mad woman in the attic from Jane Eyre. Spivak shows how Bertha is doubly silenced, first as a woman and then as a colonized subject. Her voice is never really heard in the novel. This is where Spivak also talks about the concept of othering. She explains how colonial literature often presents non-European characters as mysterious, dangerous, or exotic. These characters become the other, the one who is different and therefore inferior. Friends, you'll be glad to know that my UGC NET Paper 1 book has been praised for its innovative teaching style by the legendary Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. Further, if you're looking for video lectures that can explain the plot of important works of Paper 2 English, then consider enrolling in my online course for UGC NET English. I'm proud to launch India's first animated video course, where I've explained over 500 important plays, novels, and poems in an engaging way. For more details, check out the description box. Moving forward, we come to another major book by Spivak called In Other Worlds, Essays in Cultural Politics. It was published in 1987. In this book, Spivak examines the relationship between language, women, and culture in both Western and non-Western settings. She combines three major approaches: deconstruction, Marxism, and feminism to create a powerful new way of looking at literature and culture, and engages with some of the leading critics of her time. Through this, she shows how literature, politics, and culture are deeply connected, and how power influences the stories that get told and the ones that are silenced. Now we come to her most famous essay, the one that is almost always asked in UGC.NET exams: Can the Subaltern Speak? It was written in the year 1988. To really understand Spivak's essay Can the Subaltern Speak, we first need to grasp what she means by the word subaltern. Spivak borrows this term from the Marxist thinker Antonio Gramsci. Originally, Gramsci used it to describe groups outside the ruling power structures, those marginalized and oppressed by dominant classes. For Spivak, the subaltern specifically refers to those who exist completely outside systems of power and representation. These are the people who are not just politically or economically excluded, but also culturally silenced. For example, poorest women in colonial societies, those who lack economic resources and whose voices are denied even cultural recognition. They don't have access to the usual platforms where their concerns might be heard or addressed. This is why Spivak asks, can the subaltern speak? Or more importantly, can their voices ever truly be heard within the existing power dynamics? In this essay, Spivak boldly argues that the subaltern cannot speak. What she means is that even when the oppressed try to express themselves, their voices get filtered through powerful institutions like academia, media, or the government. Their speech is always interpreted or reinterpreted by others, which means their true voice is never really heard. Spivak sharply criticizes Western intellectuals who claim they are giving voice to the oppressed. She argues that even this act, speaking for the subaltern, is itself a form of control. Instead of truly listening, these intellectuals end up speaking on behalf of the subaltern, which only maintains the existing power structures rather than challenging them. Another key idea that you need to understand from this work is epistemic violence. This concept actually comes from the French philosopher Michel Foucault, but Spivak uses it to explain something crucial about colonialism. Colonialism wasn't just about taking land or resources like gold or spices, it was also about imposing a system of knowledge that erased and replaced the native ways people understood the world around them. This kind of violence is not just physical but also intellectual. It destroys entire cultures by denying their languages, traditions, and philosophies any legitimacy. This is also visible in Western feminism. Sometimes, well-meaning Western feminists try to speak for or represent subaltern women, but they do it by using Western categories and ideas. This can unintentionally silence the real voices of those women by forcing their experiences into frameworks that don't fit them. So, epistemic violence is a powerful idea that shows how control over knowledge can be just as harmful as control over land or bodies. Also, in this essay, Spivak also introduces the idea of strategic essentialism. This is when marginalized groups temporarily present themselves as a unified identity in order to fight for political or social goals. Spivak warns that this essentialism is not the truth of who they are, it's a strategy. In reality, these groups are diverse and complex, but sometimes simplifying their identity can be useful to gain visibility or push for change. She stresses, however, that it should always be temporary because over time it can erase internal differences and repeat the same power structures it was meant to resist. Can the Subaltern Speak is an important essay because it makes us think about how we listen to people who are often ignored. It also warns that speaking for them can sometimes stop their real voices from being heard. Friends, if you're looking for video lectures that can explain more such difficult terms in a very simple and easy manner, then consider enrolling in our online course for UGC.NET English. We're proud to be India's first animated video course where we explain over 500 important plays, novels, and poems in an engaging way. For more details, check out the description box or download the Arpita Karwa learning app. Lastly, we come to one of her most thought-provoking essays called The Politics of Translation. It was published in 1992. The politics of translation is about how translating a text from a marginalized culture is never neutral. Spivak says that when books from the global south are translated into big Western languages like English, their true meaning and cultural depth can be lost. She believes translators must understand the text's language, history, and emotions to keep its essence alive. For Spivak, translation should respect the original culture, not make it easier for Western readers. Let's us now look at one previous year question on Spivak that has been asked in the UGC.NET exams. The question is on your screen. This question asks, who wrote The Politics of Translation and translated Mahashweta Devi's Tandayini? As we learned today, the answer is option 3, Gayatri C. Spivak. She not only wrote the essay but also translated Tandayini into English as breast giver, taking great care to represent caste, gender, and rural Indian life while preserving the cultural depth of the original work. If you're looking for more PYQs on this topic, you can check out my exclusive mock test series available on Arpita Karwa learning app, which provides you with 5,000 plus topic-wise questions. Plus, after every test, you get a detailed performance report and your ranking on the All India Leaderboard, which will help you spot your weak and strong areas. So, friends, there you have it. I hope this video has given you the clarity you needed to tackle Gayatri Chakravarty Spivak with ease. That's it from my side for this video lecture. We'll meet very soon in the next video. Till the time we meet next, happy learning, keep loving literature, and stay tuned to my channel.